Welcome, Gunrunner.
Much has been made over the years of the role of women in the video games industry. It's long been thought of as a very male-dominated sector, but that's not to say that women didn't do their part. And although it's still fairly skewed towards men, there is a much greater level of equality in today's environment. Early video game pioneers included the likes of Donna Bailey, who is widely publicised as the creator of Centipede, with Atari very much hailing her as the first woman to design an arcade game. Another notable figure from the same era was one Carol Shaw, who's most famous for coming up with Activision's highly acclaimed River Raid, but she had already cut her teeth at Atari coding games such as Video Checkers, 3D Tic-Tac-Toe and the accomplished 2600 Porter Super Breakout. What about Roberta Williams, the much celebrated co-founder of Sierra Online and designer of best-selling video games such as the King's Quest series, the Dark Crystal and the Laura Bow series? These are all household names, but far from the only women to heavily influence the video game industry and make an impact on our hobby. There's an ever-growing list of candidates that don't get the same appreciation for their efforts, so I've created this video to try and correct that somewhat. Here are 5 amazing women who influenced our industry and very much deserve to be recognised for their achievements.
Bring all the arcade action home with TV Games Golden Tee, authentic arcade trackball. Roll it to control it. Just plug it in and play across classic Golden Tee courses. Up to 4 players. Plug it in and play TV Games Golden Tee. Rated E for everyone. Batteries not included.
Welcome, Valkyrie.
Like Donna Bailey and Carol Shaw, Elaine Dighton, now Hodson, is a lady who got her start in the formative years of the industry as a sound engineer with arcade game pioneers Midway. As a graduate of Purdue University with a degree in biochemistry, who began her career as an industrial chemist at the Kennedy Space Center, this was an unusual change of direction. Her first projects at Midway were doing the audio for lesser known titles like Domino Man, Wacko and Rock and Roll Tie-In Journey, but she also contributed to the highly successful Tapper whilst at the company too. After the coin-op industry crash hit in 1983, she left to join historic Californian software house Epix, just as they started to hit the big time. At Epix she worked on the classic winter games, as well as the highly underrated Championship Wrestling, a game I remember very fondly from my own youth. But her time at Epix was short-lived, and in 1985 she formed Incredible Technologies with her father. 2 of the most infamous products from the early years at Incredible Technologies were Mortal Kombat wannabe Time Killers and Street Fighter the movie for Capcom. Still going to this day, the company are undoubtedly best known for their creation of the hugely successful Golden Tee arcade game series. As president and CEO of Incredible Technologies, she oversaw the strategic planning and marketing of all their products and services, seeing the company grow from a $150,000 startup in 1985 to a $60 million enterprise in 2006. And they are still going strong to this day.
Welcome, Valkyrie.
Of all the fabulous females to make my list, Christie is perhaps the most obscure, and indeed I only became aware of her work when I interviewed her for Retro Gamer magazine back in 2012. That interview is part of a wider article on the prolific UK development studio Imagitech Design, and it's undoubtedly her work at that company that she's best known for. Whilst working for the Yorkshire-based studio, she contributed the art for games like Fiendish Freddy's Big Top of Fun, Combo Racer and Demon's Gate. But her most important role was as a designer and artist on the hugely successful strategy puzzle game The Humans. She left Imagitech in 1994, and from there she went on to work for companies such as Rebellion, NMS Software and Attention to Detail. At the latter she worked on the visuals for the Atari Jaguar CD pack in Blue Lightning, but it's her work at NMS that she considers her greatest achievement, as she helped put together the highly acclaimed 3D tank blaster Mass Destruction. After working on several licensed games like Asterix, The Search for Dogmatics, All-Star Tennis 2000 and Mission Impossible, she left the industry in 2001 and didn't look back, though she still speaks about her days in the video game development sector very fondly.
Welcome, Valkyrie.
Perhaps the most interesting thing about Angie Nolf, especially compared to the other ladies on this list, is that she never intended to get involved in making video games at all. She had initially taken on a role as marketing manager for Capstone Software. As time went on, she became more and more interested and involved in the creative side of things. This began when she became licensing director, a role that was central to Capstone's acquisition of big-name licenses like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Superman, Home Alone, Terminator 2, Miami Vice and Tom Clancy. She even helped put together a series of titles based on Donald Trump's casinos. When I interviewed Angie back in 2016, she recalled how the job of licensing crossed over into the actual creation of the games in question, due to the very specific requirements that some IP holders made. This continued involvement also saw her take on the role of producer across all of Capstone's licensed properties, a role she looks back on very fondly, as she got to attend numerous red carpet movie premieres and help bring what she saw to life. She's now working solely in the field of PR and marketing at her own company, Nyhoff Associates, after Capstone went bust in 1996.
Welcome, Valtteri.
With Dawn, we have somebody who is very well known to UK retro gamers, and particularly those who grew up with a home computer in the late 80s and early 90s. But she's a virtual nobody when it comes to our compatriots across the pond. Her fame in her homeland is very much celebrated through the amazing work she did at Ocean Software, starting as an artist at development studio Canvas Software, where she drew pixels for games like Miami Vice, Breakthrough and Roadrunner. Her move from Liverpool to Manchester saw her hit the big time. Dawn's first project at Ocean was completing the visuals for the ZX Spectrum and Amstrad CPC versions of Target Renegade, a title still regarded as one of the best on either machine. But perhaps her most famous work was on Robocop, which became one of the best-selling 8-bit computer games of all time. Other titles she pixelated at Ocean included Jurassic Park, Darkman, Batman, Hook and The Untouchables. After leaving Ocean, Dawn Drake, now Hollywood, went on to work at Software Creations and games like Rugrats Castle Capers, Scooby-Doo in the Cyber Chase and The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, before leaving the games industry for pastures new.
Welcome, Valtteri.
It's fair to say that Susan is far from a household name, but she very much should be when you look at the list of games she contributed to as an artist, producer and designer. She started her career at legendary corn-up manufacturer Atari Games in 1984, making contributions to such huge earners as Star Wars Return of the Jedi, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Roadrunner and both Gauntlet games. After working on several other arcade games like Vindicators, Skull and Crossbones and Thunderjaws, she left to join near neighbours Atari Corporation. Under Jack Trammell's stewardship, she was sent to work at the Atari Lombard studio that was responsible for many of the best arcade conversions to appear on the Advanced Lynx handheld. Her existing experience at Atari Games no doubt set her in good stead, as she took her artist's hand to titles like Rampart, Rampage, Clax, Warbirds, Checkered Flag, Ms. Pac-Man, Batman Returns and many more. From here she moved over to the Atari Jaguar, where she was responsible for designing and producing the graphically impressive launch game Trevor McFur in the Crescent Galaxy, as well as making contributions to both the highly acclaimed Alien vs Predator and Hover Strike. After leaving Atari Corp in 1994, she went on to work with people like Mattel, Velocity and Age of Learning in both consultancy and employee roles, contributing to titles such as Bratz, The Wild Thornberrys and Blue's Clues. She still works in a consultant and producer role in the video game industry to this day.
The new fantasy adventure from Atari Games. The most fun a quarter can buy.
And that rounds up my look at 5 underappreciated women in gaming. Can you think of any other ladies who deserve to be featured on this list? Or do you think some of these people were unworthy of inclusion? I always love to hear the thoughts and views of my audience, so please get typing in that comments section. Before I go though, I must thank all of my loyal patrons to continue to support my channel and make videos like this possible. However, I must give special thanks to the following patrons in particular for their much appreciated pledges: Mitchell Valentino, Neptune, Seth A. Robinson, Carl Olsen, Ozzy B, Noel Saw, Dos Gamerman and Electron Star Collapse. If you also want to help support all my creative endeavours, including this YouTube channel, then please go and check out my Patreon right now. You can get access to host extra content, including downloads, exclusive videos, creative insights, and much more besides. I've been the Laird, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again for another video very soon.